and we're here. It's the coffee hour. My name is Frank Allan. Thank you so much for joining us for this brand new Friday. And we're here every Friday at this time between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern. Everything is Eastern Standard Time here. So check your watches and your clocks and make sure you're on the right level with us. We thank you so much for being with us. And as every Friday, we're going to get together and have you involved in conversation. And of course, that's what the show is all about. We're a family here. And if you're just joining us for the first time, thank you for joining us. Don't make it your last time. Make it your weekly habit because we're here every week. And if you're at work right now, you're at your desk. Some jobs, they give you like a 15-minute coffee break. Well, you could take that 15 minutes instead of wandering around and chewing the fat with other people. You can stay at your desk and enjoy us here. And then even after your coffee break is over, you're still at your desk. And if you're good enough to multitask, you can watch us and work at the same time because that's what we're all about. So thank you so much for being with us. And as we do each week, we want to toast you and salute you. And of course, what would the coffee hour be without a little coffee? So salute, Giantani. So that's what we have here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, on the show today, of course, we have our 2020 feature that's coming up. And the 2020 feature features Brian Camp with the sports update with the latest developments in today's world of sports. He's going to be here 20 after the hour, 20 to the hour. Hey, DJ Pete is going to be here. As a matter of fact, he's in the room right now. So good morning to you, DJ Pete. He's going to be here. Good to see you today. And he's going to be here with his part of the 2020 feature, 20 to the hour, with entertainment. And of course, he'll recite all of those marvelous birthdays of people of entertainment. And of course, you'll get all of that. And it's you and me and all of us together, sipping coffee and having a lot of fun. We've got our weather forecast. And those of you who are coming in, please, if you're new to the show, the protocol is drop us a little forecast that may be happening in your area. Now, if you're in New York, you don't have to do that because I will be doing that for you. Okay. And then we'll just keep moseying along. We want to say hello because we simulcast every week to the people on Facebook, from Facebook to YouTube. We simulcast each week. So those of you who are watching us on Facebook, thank you so much for being here. And on YouTube, thank you so much for being here as well. And you have the best of both worlds, YouTube and Facebook. And it's all happening right here, right now. Facebook Live and on YouTube Live and YouTube TV. YouTube television, or however you want to watch it. Technology has been so good over the years. We're able to do a lot of things with what we do. And so those of you who are coming in right now, we see you and we want to say hi. We wave to you and just say hi. Thank you so much for being along with us. Stay with us for as long as you can. Whatever time you can spend with us, we really appreciate it. But if you can stay with us the whole hour, we would enjoy that. That's because if there's no me without you, that's for sure. Otherwise, I'd be out here talking to myself. So what do you say we get together and talk about that weather forecast we've got going on for us? Here in New York City, we have 58 degrees. It looks good so far. We've got partly cloudy skies this morning, but it becomes cloudy during the afternoon. Nothing about rain so far. High about 63 degrees. Winds will be southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And of course, for tomorrow, Friday night. Well, let's get to Friday night. Tonight, first of all, we'll have considerable cloudiness, a slight chance of showers late in the evening, and we'll have a low around 49 degrees. Wind will be southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. For Saturday, your weekend here in New York, we'll check out your forecast as you come in. It's going to be considerable cloudiness with occasional rain showers. We'll have a high 53 degrees. Winds will be light and variable. Chance of rain will be 50%. And Saturday night will be cloudy, early becoming mostly clear. That's good news. After midnight, we'll have a low around 45 degrees. Winds will be light and variable. Mother's Day is coming up, right? So as we wrap up our weekend and we wrap it up with Mother, we take her out to dinner, take her to church. It's going to be partly cloudy skies during the morning hours, and we'll give way to occasional showers. So you might want to take that umbrella with you as you head out to church and then out to dinner to take your mom out, or whatever activities you want to do to treat her. And showers will develop in the afternoon. We'll have a high around 64 degrees and winds will be southwest, west southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. We have a 50% chance of rain. And repeating our weather forecast here in New York City, we have 58 degrees. We want to take time out to applaud all of those people, of course, all of those people each week. That's how we start our show. We did the weather forecast a little bit early, but we start our show basically usually with a hand clap, all to the people who have been involved with all of this activities as the pandemic moves along, like the doctors, the nurses, the first responders, firefighters, and police officers they have lent a big helping hand to everyone who needed it in this time of need. And of course, as you look back in hindsight and you look back to where we were a year ago, we're not doing so bad now. A lot of us didn't survive, and some survive, and the survivors who have survived it and maybe even contracted COVID-19, you're all here and you're looking good, and we thank God for that. Thank you so much for being with us and spending your time with us. So we know that this pandemic has been along. It seems like things are kind of cooling down. Things are starting to go back to normal in certain areas. I know here in New York, they're talking about another 100% production in our area. So those of you who have not been vaccinated, please do get that vaccine. We're going to tell you how to do that in just a few minutes. But they're going to open things up. I know baseball stadiums are going to go up. They're going to boost it up to 50% capacity, but they're going to section everybody. Those of you who have gotten the vaccine and fully vaccinated will sit in the crowd with other people who have been fully vaccinated. You don't have to wear a mask and you don't have to be separated. So that's good news. That's a section for them. But for those of you who didn't get vaccinated, don't think you're going to be ostracized or anything. You could still go to the ball game too. However, there's a special section for you guys who haven't got it. You can still there. You're required to wear your mask, and you're required to still practice that 6 feet distance, but you'll still enjoy the ball game like everyone else. So that's what it looks like. Now they're going to say restaurants are going to be open to full capacity too. Well, maybe not the beginning of full capacity, but they're starting to open up. And surely, of course, when we get to the point where we can actually do it without mask free, and the only way we can do that if everyone participates and wearing their mask, right? Wearing your mask and using all the protection that you need to help yourself and to help others, like your friends, your family, your neighbors, and everyone in your community as you walk down the street every day to protect them. We protect each other when we do that. So just keep that in mind. Pete just gave me his weather forecast out of Maine, out of Portland, Maine. He has his weather forecast. It's sunny skies and partly sunny to partly sunny. That's what he says. Sunny to partly sunny today. The high is around 54 degrees. That looks good to me. That's like a bit out of deep freeze of what he normally has, right? And lows tonight about 40 degrees. Winds will be out of southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. So Portland, Maine, you're looking good. And so that's good. And I hope the rest of you who are coming in, you want to chime in, give us your weather forecast. We really would appreciate it. Now, those of you who are coming in, you're not saying anything, that's okay. You just want to sit back and relax. That's okay. We really appreciate that. The most important thing is that you're here. That's the most important thing. I'm going to take another shot at this stuff, right? Okay. So there you go. We covered all of that. And getting back to the pandemic now, if you look up in the section, we have a section for you, all of you, right? Mary Jack Alone, how you doing? She just popped in. Good to see you, Mary. Good to see you. We missed you for the past couple of weeks, but I'm glad you're back. You didn't forget about us. Good. Now, those of you who have taken your test, taking all the tests that you need and taking the vaccine and everything else like that, we really appreciate that. Now, those of you who are new to the show, we give this information to you each week. Now, if you look up in our section, you're watching Facebook look up into our section. I usually call it the section of information. You know, I give it all kinds of names, section of information. But you look up there in the subject area, right? And you have all kinds of information up there. You see the name of the show and today's date and all kinds of information. I have my email address and my telephone number, which you are welcome to use anytime you like to get in touch with me. If you have any suggestions and ideas about the show, we would love to hear from you. Or if you just want to say hi, it's right there for you. And that will be there even if you're not watching the show on real time. Some people like to come back later and watch it. The information will be there. However, the information that's up there underneath all of that, you'll see that this what we have, the COVID-19 test. You see that? There's a telephone number, the COVID-19 test. It's all right there. And that number is 718-638-7682. That's the number that will get you in touch with anyone that you'd like to talk to, have questions about COVID-19. You want to know more about it, they can tell you more about it. You can talk to a live person. They have information on where to get the test if you need it. And we do advise you to get the test, especially if you're not vaccinated yet. We want to keep everybody healthy, get it as often as possible. And the test only takes 5 seconds. Once they put you in that chair, 5 seconds, right? And it's slightly uncomfortable, not bad. You're not going to do a lot of yelling and screaming and say, oh, I'm not going to do that again. No, it's nothing like that. Just, you might tear up just a little bit, but that's it. That's it. So that's very important to have. And that number will give you information. That's a New York number, by the way, but it gives you information. It can lead you other places, but for the most part, a lot of you people in different towns and different countries have your own local numbers where you can call and get information, the same kind of information that I'm telling you about. Also, that number will provide you with information on where to get the test nearest you. All you have to do is give them your zip code wherever you are, particularly if you're living in New York. We're broken down to 5 boroughs, and you don't have to leave your borough to go get the test. All you have to do is just give them the zip code and tell them what city you're living, and they can tell you exactly where to go nearest you to get the test. And of course, vaccination. Now, you can get the vaccination on a lot of sources. You can get it through a pharmacist. You can get it through your personal doctor. You can get it. They have different outlets and centers that's available to you, which of course you can go on your local websites and Google it and find out where it is next to you to get tests. Now, they have, of course, 3 vaccines on the market. As you already know, they have the Johnson & Johnson, they have the Moderna, and Pfizer. Now, the Johnson & Johnson, all you have to do is just take 1 shot. For that, it's only 1 shot, and that's it. All right. For Pfizer and Moderna, it requires 2 shots, 2 different times, not in one day, of course. But you'll get the first shot, and they'll tell you when to come back. They'll give you an appointment when they come back. And then you take the second one, and then you're fully vaccinated. And then that gives you the benefit of doing a lot of things that we normally don't do. For instance, you could go out and mingle with other people who have been vaccinated. You could hang out with family and friends. It doesn't have to be a big crowd. A nice small crowd. You don't have to wear your mask. You can still hug and enjoy your loved ones in that fashion. And it all takes a vaccine. It's just vaccinated. Those of you who are on the fence, get off that fence. Let me tell you, it's safe. I've taken mine. A lot of people who are out here now, Warren just came in. He took his. Mary took hers. Pete, did you take yours? I never bothered to ask. Did you take yours? I'm pretty sure Pete did. He's a wise man. He knows. He knows. And Brian took his. And so everybody took, his wife took his, and everybody's taking it. Now the vaccines are coming out. Younger people are starting to get involved and get in. So there you go. And so with that in mind, other numbers too available. Let's say, for instance, even in New York City, right? We have a special 311 number. That's a number. That's a New York City line that can give you information about New York City, period. places to go, people to see. And of course, now you're going to use that number because now that they're going to open up a lot of things in New York City and people are going to want to know where to go. Broadway is going to open up 100% capacity in the theaters. Isn't that nice? They're going to open up. And of course, you're going to use that number. You want to find out information that gives you information about New York, where to go, and people to see, places to go, all of those things, right? You could also use that number also if there's a problem that you see in the street, maybe like a street fight or something. You want to quickly call 311, not 911, because 911 is a real dire emergency number. So you don't want to use that. Use that as a last resort. But the 311 in New York City, of course, you could report broken streets and things like that. And of course, they give you information on where to go to get your test if you need it. And of course, vaccinations and all of that. Now, there's also a website in New York City, and I'm pretty sure all of you, wherever you are in different parts of the country or different parts of the cities, and, parts of the world, you have your local number and you have your local websites you can go to. Here's one that I have in New York. I'm coming out of New York, so the information that I have available to me, I can also relay it to you besides the numbers I just gave you. We also have a website that's nycvaccinelist.com. That's nycvaccinelist.com. That's a website. You go on that website, it gives you information on where to go to get the vaccine or center nearest you to get that. And so I try to give you as much information as possible, whether it's local or worldwide. I particularly like worldwide because I'm covering everybody. I'm covering a whole span of people. So I basically like to do that. So there you go. So with that in mind, do that, be diligent, wear your mask, all of the protections that you need at this particular point. And again, if you're going out with other people who have been vaccinated like yourself, wear a mask, still be diligent. You could always keep the mask in your pocket too. That's another thing. You never know when you're going to need it. So, you don't want to drop it all together, walk out of the house and not have it at all. You want to be a little diligent because you want to take things in stride, even though they may tell you, oh, it's okay, but use your common sense and use good judgment and go out there, keep mask in your pocket. Always take your hand sanitizer. Take that with you. You're going to need that too. You're a driver. You're going to need that. You touch the steering wheel all the time, and then you share your car or whatever. And you want to make sure that you're safe. That's the bottom line. You want to be safe. So with that in mind, excuse me while I shoot up. Oh, that's delicious coffee. That's delicious coffee. I can't believe it's Friday. I always look forward to Friday. Okay, here's some news. It's old news, but this news happened last, I think it was last Saturday. Our beloved and our talented and our legendary actress, Olympia Dukakis, passed away. You heard about that, right? Olympia Dukakis passed away last Saturday, May 1st, right here in New York City. She passed away at the age of 89. So she lived a healthy, and well, she was sick for a while, but for the most part, she lived a fruitful and healthy life and had a great career along the way. So we just want to send our blessings and all the greetings out to her family, friends, her colleagues, everyone who knew her and loved her, and of course, all of her fans as well. She did great. She did great while she was here. And I always loved her work. I always loved her work. Now, later on in the program, we have other information for you. We're going to give you my picks on the classic movies this week. We're going to talk about that. And a lot of other things are coming along. And of course, we're going to talk to all of you as well. So I want to check in and make sure that I spoke to everybody at this particular time because while I'm babbling away, things happen. So I did say hello. Brian is out there. Pete is out there. Mary is out there. Mary from Florida, of course. Don't forget, guys, give me your weather forecast as you come in. But if you're from New York, don't worry about it. We won't need that right away. All we have to do is just wait along. And I already gave you my weather forecast for New York City. So there you go. We have everything going. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got, I don't know if he's back en route or not. Brian Camp from Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know if he's en route. We're going to find that out right now because he was determined to be here to give us the latest developments in today's world of sports. So, Brian, where are you now? What are you doing?
Right now, I'm in Brooklyn on Avenue P and Flatbush Avenue. I'm back in my home state, my home borough of Brooklyn, New York. Here for visits to see family and friends and some other things too as well too. Went to visit some of my favorite eatery shops and stores. And yes, I'm in the Big Apple. But like I said before, Brooklyn should be like a state, and New York should be like a country. That's how big and proud that we are as Brooklynites.
That's
But
right.
as much as I love it here, I can't wait to get back to Charlotte, North Carolina. I love it here. This is my hometown, but there's nothing like being home and everything. Good morning to all. Good morning, Cousin Warren. How you doing? Good morning, Pete. Good morning, Mary. Good morning to everybody on a beautiful day in Brooklyn, a brisk 59 degrees, is mostly sunny, and it says mostly sunny. I guess 1/3 of the clouds are cloudy, but they say mostly sunny, so I'll take it. Mostly sunny, and we are here to give you sports. Really nothing to talk about this week in sports, but I want to talk about Willie Howard Mays Jr., nicknamed the Say Hey Kid. Happy 90th birthday to, in my opinion, the greatest baseball player of all time. Yes, I know some people might say Babe Ruth. I've never seen Babe Ruth play. I wasn't born in the 1920s. I was born in 1962, so I remember Willie Mays at Shea Stadium. My brothers had taken me to Shea Stadium in Queens and Flushing, New York, in 1967 when the San Francisco Giants came into town twice a year, and it was a ball. It was a ball. I'm a Giants fan for life, and I had a great opportunity to visit San Francisco a couple of years ago to see Barry Bonds get his number retired. I wore my uniform. It was great. I get knocked and say, "Well, how are you a Giants fan?" And they live there in San Francisco. I said, "If you know the history, they started in the early 1900s. I believe, some say in the late 1800s, but they started in New York and moved in 1958 to San Francisco. So that's the history of why I became a Giants fan because, one of my brothers was a Giants fan, and he liked Willie Mays, and I took over that. I became a Giants fan. Barry Bonds is one of my favorites too. In spite of the allegations of the steroids use, but Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid, 90 years old, he served his country well. He's most famous for a lot of things, but in 1954, I didn't see because I wasn't born. I was born in 1962, but he made that catch over in the World Series, which today still remains as the greatest catch of all time in World Series play, where they didn't think that he was going to catch the ball, but the ball was over his head, and he caught up to the ball, threw it, twirled around, caught the ball, twirled around, and threw it back in the infield. That saved the game. It was just a wonderful thing, that he did. And he played until 1971, and the New York Mets brought him home. The Mets got him in a trade, played for 2 years, and Willie Mays, in his final year, was able to go to the World Series to play against the Oakland Athletics. They lost in 7 games to Reggie Jackson and the Oakland A's, and it was just a wonderful human being, a wonderful talent, a rare talent, 5'2" play. He could do it all: throw, steal, run, hit for power, seal. He was just amazing. The Say Hey Kid, and Willie Mays is known for just playing baseball, stickball in the streets in New York City, playing with the kids. And after they play stickball, he'll go out and buy the kids some ice cream, and then after he do that, then he get ready to go play ball at night in the Polo Grounds in Manhattan for his real job. And he was just that kind of player and everything. And he is one of the greatest of all time. I'm so glad to have the opportunity to talk about him because he was all of that.
Yeah, and talk about that fantastic catch back in 1954. We talked about it on the air on the radio last night. I actually posted that, and those of you who don't know about that historical catch, when he caught the call, he was running towards center field, but he caught the ball backwards. His back to the home plate as he ran out to center field, and the ball came over his head, and he caught it. And so if you want to see that catch, if you don't know about that catch, go into my Facebook page. It's posted. I posted there last night. You'll see it. But yeah,
I put 2 posters up, so I expect some thumbs up from Pete and Warren and Mary and some other people that's connected to me on my Facebook page. I did 2 tributes to him. I put a video shared it from NLB Network of his career. It's 7 minutes of video. And I post something to Willie Mays. Like I said, he served his country well. Who knows how many home runs he could have had if he missed 2 prime years, 2 years of military. But they were prime years, so he could have had additional 100 home runs that would have had him 760. Yeah. And then he played 14 seasons in windy Candlestick Park.
Yeah.
And, who knows? He may not have all the greatest stats of more home runs than Hank Aaron or Babe Ruth or the other guys, but he did it all. He did it all. He said himself he could have had a lot more stats, but he didn't. But that's okay. He's in my eyes, and you may think I'm a little biased because I'm a Giants fan, but in my eyes, I think he's the greatest all-around baseball player of all time. No disrespect to Babe Ruth or the other greats, but in my eyes, Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid.
Yeah. I bet I believe that Willie Mays would play ball today if he could. I believe that. The guy loved that game so much. And back in those days, Willie Mays didn't make the money that the ball players are making today. You would think, but it's a different day. In the early years, they weren't making that kind of money. They weren't in the $1 million bracket. But they played like their lives depend on it. All of those players back then, they played baseball. They really played the game. And we talked about this before, that some of the players of today, if they get as much as a hangnail, they would say, I can't play today because I have a hangnail, or I pricked my finger and it's bleeding a little bit. I can't play today, or I got a little sniffle, so I can't play today.
Could you imagine what his contract would be like if he was to play in today's game, in today's market, especially in New York or San Francisco? He'll be probably the first billionaire player of all time, just to play ball, and his endorsements would be incredible. Yeah. So you got to understand, back then, black players wasn't making any endorsements. Like Nat King Cole wasn't making no endorsements. He didn't get credit for some of the things that he did as on the entertainment level. And it's just mind-boggling just to think about how much money that he could have made.
I remember Willie Mays did an endorsement back then when in his playing days for Brute Fabu. At that time, it was Fabergé, Brute Fabergé, and he did a commercial on that. Also, in the real early years, I think back in the 1950s, he did print endorsements for Allan. Back in those days, it's no longer on the market, but it was called Allan syrup, pancake syrup. They had his picture. You could drive in your car and you could see his picture on the billboard next to Allan syrup bottle. So but you're right. He didn't get as many endorsement as they do today. Now a lot of the African American players, depending on who they are, they get a lot of endorsements. And one guy comes to mind is Shaq. I mean, we talked about this last night at dinner. This guy is all over the place. And because he's all over the place, guys like Willie May paved the way for him. But not only that, Shaq is a likable guy,
Yes.
and that's why he gets it. And I'm just hoping that I think we're running off the rail a little bit, but I'm just making the point. Since you mentioned endorsements, and I just hope that he continues. There's no scandal that will, disturb what he has right now. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was guys like Willie Mays that paved the way for a lot of the sports figures, not just baseball, but also basketball and football.
And one more thought before I leave. One of my favorite sayings that Willie Mays has said. He said every time he looks in his wallet, he sees Jackie Robinson. That alone tells you how
Yeah,
humble he was and grateful towards Jackie Robinson
yeah,
for paving the way for guys like him and Hank Aaron.
yeah. You got to remember the guys that came before you. You got to remember that.
That's
And
right.
and it was indeed. I mentioned Willie Mays paving the way for people who sports figures and for endorsement, but Jackie Robinson paved the way for even people like Willie Mays. So there you go. There you
That's
go.
right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, listen.
Take care. Goodbye to everybody. I see Naoto came in. Good evening, Naoto, Warren, and Mary, and Pete. You all have a wonderful weekend.
Do you know?
I'll,
Do you know
go ahead.
Mary's in New York right now?
Who?
Mary is in New York. I didn't even. Well, I knew she was coming, but I didn't think. I didn't know
Oh,
she didn't
oh,
mention.
Mary. I wish that I would have known. You see, I could have just waved to you. And just say hi to you if I would have known.
That's
But
right.
welcome to the Big Apple. I'll be back in New York sometime next month anyway for another short visit,
Uh-huh.
depending on how things go. But yeah, I'm glad Mary came. Hopefully, I'll see my cousin Warren next time I come around next month, and I'll be back next month.
Okay. We look forward to seeing you. And listen, when are you leaving to go back to Charlotte? You on
Leaving. I'll be spending the night in Virginia tonight.
Okay.
Leaving tomorrow night in Virginia and back home in Charlotte by Saturday night. And yeah, and that'll be it. Yeah, I'll be back in Charlotte by tomorrow night. Yeah,
Okay, so you're leaving New York this afternoon?
this afternoon. Yes.
Okay. Well, listen, have a safe trip on your way back home to Virginia and Charlotte. Have a safe trip where, making all those stops, okay?
Thank you so much.
And tell Kat I said hi, and the dinner was great last night. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Take care.
Take care of yourself. Okay, that was Brian Camp. He's usually comes out of Charlotte, North Carolina, but he's in New York. But he sound pumped up, more than usual when he comes here to New York. I think it's the air. I think it's the air. You get a whiff of New York air, and you kind of get pumped up. Mary, are you pumped up? Because I know Mary is a native of New York. She's a native New Yorker. She lives in Florida now, but she's a native New Yorker. Naoto is out there. Brian mentioned that. Naoto, good to see you. Happy Saturday to you. Because it's after midnight over there where you are, I think, right? It's after midnight where you are? Okay. Happy Saturday. Happy weekend. And Naoto just gave us a weather forecast. I'm going to read it to you right quick. His weather forecast in Kobe, Japan. Let's see. He's got southwest winds at 45 miles per hour. It's cloudy there right now for tonight. And he's got 57 degrees. Tomorrow will be, let's see. Tomorrow's weather forecast says that yellow sand will blow from the east towards Japan. So you get sandstorms in Japan, right? You see, we don't get sandstorms in New York. We just get heavy water. It just knocks our window panes out. But yeah, so those of you who are in Kobe, Japan, or in the facility, he says that vicinity. He has a yellow sandstorm will be coming along, and it blows from the east towards Japan. So batten down the hatches. I don't know how serious could that be. I don't know. I never experienced a snowstorm, nor have I ever experienced an earthquake, except maybe for twice here in New York. But it was like a tremor, but never anything serious. So thinking that I've seen it all and done it all, I haven't. But thank you for that so much, Naoto. And Mary is in Queens right now. That's where she is at this particular time. She's in Queens, and so Mary, I hope that how long are you going to be here for, Mary? You know, that's Brian is leaving this afternoon. Mary is in Queens, looking, and Brian and Warren is looking forward to seeing Brian when he comes back to New York. And that won't be until next month, so that's not too far away. Next month will be here just before you know it, just as fast as summer will get here. And let's see. So anyway, safe travels, Brian. And So Mary's in New York, but Mary, let us know how long you're going to be here. Let me know how long you're going to be here, okay? If you're just tuning in, it's the Coffee Hour. My name is Frank Allan, and we're going to be here until 11 Eastern. That's where we are. We're on the East Coast, so we're Eastern time. For those of you who are not on my coast, you're in another time zone. So make sure that you always check your time zone like Naoto does. He knows when we're coming on because his time zone is totally different. So I think we're like, 14 hours different? Something like that. Something like that. I think we're like 14 hours difference, somewhere in there. And those of you who are just joining us for the first time, again, thank you. And stay with us. Make us your weekly habit. And have fun. Get to know everybody here. Everybody, we're a bunch of nice people. And again, I want to say, as the rest of you who are watching us on Facebook, thank you. And you guys, too, on YouTube. Thank you so much. Tell your family and friends about it. And don't you know that you could always forward this show, even while we're on live, to a friend? I'm just saying. I'm just saying this. Those are the capabilities. You can do that. You can pass the show along to other people. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. Okay. I already gave you my weather forecast and all of that stuff. And I got to tell you, we got. Oh, by the way, we just completed, as you already know, the 2020 feature. Brian Camp just did his part of the feature. And he did it at 20 past the hour. DJ Pete is coming on. It's going to be good to hear from him, too. He's coming along 22 the hour, which is a couple of minutes away. And he's going to bring you all of that information of entertainment. And he'll recite all of those birthdays and all of those people of notoriety. They're all recited. It gives me enough time to tell you about my podcast. Did you check it out? My podcast. I have a podcast. I got to swing a little more quickly on this one. I want to talk to you about that. It's a podcast. If you look up in the section, those of you who are watching on Facebook, look up into the subject area. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, look over in the chat area at the very top. All of that information I told you about, it's right there. And it's the Blue Cafe. Now, the Blue Cafe is a show that I get to talk to people, newsmakers, people of entertainment. They could be authors, they could be singers, they could be songwriters, they could be anything like that. And just to prove that, I have spoken in my latest development, or my latest project, was with Bobby Rydell. Bobby Rydell, one of the famous teenage idols back in the 60s. Of course, he was the star in Bye Bye Birdie. And of course, he had great hits such as Kissin' Time and things like that, Forget Him. And his most famous song that I like, his most famous song is what was that song? It was like, ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. What was the name of that song? The name of that song was called, can't remember offhand, but it's like, ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We've Got Love. That's the name of the song, We've Got Love. And of course, he made a lot of classic songs. And the other one too, the most famous one that everybody plays is what is it? What is the name of that one? I can't think of it offhand, but I'll get to it. But anyway, he's on the show. You can check him out. And I did other interviews, of course. I did one with Jimmy Clanton, and he was a teenage idol back in the 50s. You know, you could see him on some of the Alan Freed movies back in the 50s. So I had him. And I had Bobby Wilson, who's the son of Jackie Wilson. I had them. And all of those interviews are on the website right now. So all you have to do is go there where it says Blue Cafe. Underneath that is the direct link. You can click onto that, and it'll take you right there to all 3 interviews. And you don't have to watch them all. one by one. You can take their time because they're going to be up there for a while. They'll be up there for a while, and you can and check it out and listen. We had good times doing those interviews. I had a good time doing with Bobby Rydell, and we talked about his career, and he had an interesting story to tell. So do all of them. He had an interesting story to tell about his career and about his, public life and his private life and things like that. We don't get deep into privacy unless they want to bring it out there. But he also wrote a book, and we had a lot of fun talking about it. We had a lot of fun talking about it. So there you go. And so now we're going to go over to Portland, Maine, and talk to DJ Pete. I'm glad to see him back. He's going to bring us information of entertainment. DJ Pete, it's great to have you back. Great to talk to you.
Hello, Frank. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I am. I don't have the day off. I'm actually working tonight. But I got the morning off, so I can have time to visit everyone here on the coffee hour.
Okay.
And so work is great. It's fun to be back to work and doing stuff in the live events and entertainment industry right now. Things are slowly coming back right now for us, and that's great. And so we're looking forward to more and more of that this year. So this is what I got for this week. I got a lot of names here, and we're going to start with born May 3rd, 1903, Harry Lillis Crosby Jr., professionally known as Bing Crosby, American singer, comedian, actor. It says here he was the first multimedia star, and I believe that's with radio, live theater, film, back in the day. He did all of that. Many great movies, many great songs he recorded over the years. Check him out, Bing Crosby. I think some cartoons would have a character imitate him, and they would do the boo 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 thing all the time.
I'm going to talk about that when you wrap up. I'm going to talk about that. When you wrap up your segment, I'm going to talk about that. I love that.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll continue quickly here. So, born May 2nd, 1929, Fred Lincoln Ray Jr., also known as Link Ray, W-R-A-Y, American rock and roll guitarist, songwriter, vocalist, became popular in the 1950s. Some of his tunes was Rumble. They were mostly instrumental tunes on the guitar in the 1950s for Link. And his band was the Ray Men, R-A-Y Men. And his tune Rumble was banned in New York and Boston for fear it would incite teenage gang violence. And back then it was slang for a gang fight. Continuing on, born May 3rd, 1933, James Joseph Brown. James Brown, American singer, songwriter, dancer. He had some funny, interesting dances on stage. Musician, record producer, band leader. He was the central person of the funk music sound in the 1970s there. Godfather of Soul, Mr. Dynamite, Soul Brother #1. A lot of great tunes here by him. Too Funky in Here is one of my favorite tunes, and I like to mix that when I'm playing disco music for some people at parties. Let's see, who else do we have? Francisco Stephen Castelluccio, born May 3rd, 1934, professionally known as Frankie Valli, frontman for the Four Seasons band. Had a lot of great music over the years. Big Girls Don't Cry, Walk Like a Man, Ragdoll, Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, Grease, and, into the 70s too. A lot of great stuff by Frankie Valli. Let's see, who else do we have? Richard Anthony Mansour, May 4th, 1934, professionally known as Dick Dale, D-A-L-E, American rock guitarist, pioneer of the surf music, mostly instrumental stuff, drawing some influence from Middle Eastern music scales and experimenting with reverb. He was the king of surf guitar. He influenced bands like the Beach Boys, Janet Dean, and the Trashmen later on. Let's see, who else do we have here? Born May 6, 1945, Robert Clark Seeger, Bob Seeger, American singer, songwriter, musician, locally successful in the Detroit area originally. His first band or group was Bob Seger and the Last Herd, Heard, and then another group, Bob Seger System, through the 1960s. Eventually dropped the System and was known as Bob Seger. But some of his recordings, Old Time Rock and Roll, Shakedown, Like a Rock, are some great tunes by Bob Seger here. Let's see, born May 8th, 1953, Dorsey William Burnett III, American guitarist, singer, and songwriter who was part of Fleetwood Mac, 1987 to 1995. Now, Dorsey's father and uncle were famous also. They were members of the Johnny Burnett Rock and Roll Trio of the 1950s. Dorsey wrote a lot of great songs, not just for himself or Fleetwood Mac, but for other people here. And let's see, 1985, Eddie Raven's song, She's Gonna Win Your Heart. Ray Charles' song, Do I Ever Cross Your Mind? He also wrote songs for people like Jerry Lee Lewis, the Everly Brothers, Greg Allman, Loretta Lynn, Tanya Tucker, Ringo Starr. A lot of people he wrote songs for that a lot of them were, became popular. Roy Orbison's song in 1987, All I Can Do Is Dream You, he wrote. Let's see, what's that? No, Willie Mays here. We were talking about Willie Mays earlier. There's a couple of songs about him, and I got one of them here by the Treniers. I've talked about these guys before. Mm-hmm. They have a song called "Say Hey," the Willie Mays song.
Right.
And I'm kind of curious. I was hoping Brian would. I don't think Brian mentioned it, but how did he get the name "Say Hey"?
Because he used to call people, say hey, because if he didn't know your name, it's just like if I call you, I say sir, or he would say hey, okay. Say hey. Instead of saying hey, he would say say hey.
Interesting. Okay, so so the Treniers did a song.
Unless Brian knows different, I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, John Fogerty's song "Center Field" mentions Mays. Cobb and DiMaggio also in that. Talkin' Baseball by Terry Cashman. Willie Mays is Up to Bat by Chuck Prophet and Kurt Lipschitz. Some other tunes about him. Yeah. What else do we have here? Born May 7th, 1942, Lawrencine May Collins, also known as Laurie Collins, brother of Larry Collins and the Collins Kids, who was a 1950s rock and roll teenage. They might have been younger than teenagers at the time. Rockabilly duo in the 1950s. Hop, Skip, and Jump, Beetlebug Bop, Hoy Hoy. Was some of their hit tunes, and it was geared towards kids of their generation also, and that's what I have this week.
Okay, all right, and what I have for you, Johnny Maestro of the Crest. Remember him? The late Johnny Maestro. He would have been 82 today. Jimmy Ruffin, the brother of David Ruffin of the Temptations, would have been 85. Teresa Brewer put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. She would have been 90, and actress Ann Baxter would have been 98. None of them are around anymore, but they made a great contribution to entertainment. And so that's what they have
awesome.
today. There you go. And getting back to Bing Crosby, you know the bo 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 bo. Do you know that he never really said that?
I know, I'm sure. It was just, I think it was like some sort of slang.
Yeah,
about idiom.
I think the public put that on him. I mean, but later on he started doing it. He started doing it later on, but he never really did that until later on in his career, and that made his repertoire staple. And now everybody goes, every time you hear Bing Crosby, the first thing you think of is bo, 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 bo.
Yeah.
Or if people say, I want to talk to bo, 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 Bing.
Yeah, well, that's what's his name say? Play it again, Sam. I guess he never actually did say.
He never said that. He never said that. He said, if you could play it for her, you can play it for me. But he never said, play it again, Sam. Yep. By the way, that's funny. By the way, I think that's one of the movies that's coming up on Turner Classic Movies. I'll talk to you more about that later. But but I did love Bing Crosby when he actually did. And he had that. He had, and then when he did it, his little cheeks puffed out while he did it. You know, it was Bing Crosby was an interesting entertainer. You know, and one of the. They talked about Frank Sinatra as the crooner, but Bing Crosby was a crooner.
Oh yes, definitely, no doubt.
You know,
no
and
doubt.
I think that's why Frank Sinatra.
Very talented individual.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
back in his day, you know, like I said, multimedia artist.
Yeah.
So he did it all.
And did you know one time I believe he owned a Minute Maid orange juice, the Minute Maid company. I think he was.
Wow. Interesting.
He was the owner of that because in the early years he used to do his own commercials about Minute Maid.
Yeah.
And Minute Maid is still around, but obviously he probably sold it long years before he passed away anyway. So there you go. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. So, hey, listen, I don't know. We're going to play it by ear if you're coming back next week or you're just going to forward information, but we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like for the next few weeks I'll just send you some info, but I believe right now it looks like the 28th I'll be off work that day, and so look for me then.
Okay. It was great talking to you today, though, that's for sure.
All right, shout out to Brian and Naoto and Mary and everybody else tuning in Facebook and YouTube world. And I'm going to drop my my DJ radio show stuff in the comments here, and we'll see you later.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care. Bye. That's DJ Pete, of course. That's part of the segment that he does on our 2020 feature each Friday. And his portion was 22 the hour, and he gives you all the information on the entertainment world, and he recites all of those birthdays as you already seen. So we thank you so much for that. And speaking of that, he does have a radio show, and let me run it down to you. You can check him out on www.radio.airwaves. Oh, that's hyphen. I'm sorry. www.radio-airwave.co.uk, and you can check him out on Mondays at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and on Thursdays between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Also, you could also check him on radio station WMPG in his hometown of Portland, Maine. But if you're not in Portland, Maine, that doesn't give you an excuse because you can always check out the website. The radio station has a website, which is www.wmpg.org, and he's on every other Tuesday between 8:30 p.m. and 10 p.m., and all times are Eastern, just like over here. So there you go. You have that, and you can always check him out. Always good to have him here, and he's going to periodically come back, but we keep his position open, and he'll send us information if he's not here. But it's great to have him here today. If you're just joining us, we're here on the coffee hour, and we're here every Friday between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. And of course, we get you involved in conversation as we always do. So I want to say hello to you people watching on Facebook and watching on YouTube, the YouTube world. And Nioto just sent me a note here. He says, according to major Japan newspapers, the Corona 19, that's COVID 19 vaccination rate in the United States is 75.2%, and 100 people, while in Japan, it is only 33, which he says is disappointing. So it's a disappointing situation. That's why we always say, people, go out and get vaccinated. Just drop all of the hype that you heard about, that you may get tracked. Somebody may track you or put a device in your system where they can track you. Come on, please get the vaccine. The quicker you guys do that, the quicker we can get this thing out of the way completely, and we don't have to worry about a mask anymore. We can tear up our mask, and also you keep the sanitizer anyway, But we throw all of those things, and we can get back to business and back to normal like everyone else. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, DJ Pete. Thank you, Nioto. But let's see. Ryan just left a note here. He says Mays got his nickname. Oh, maybe he's correcting me here. He got his nickname back in 1950 when he received a $6,000 spring bonus after high school. Mays would blurt out, "Say hey." Oh, no, he said we blow out, say what? Say who? Say what? Say who? Say where? So sports gave him they gave him, that's how he got it. I always thought that he used to call people, if they didn't know their name, say hey. Anyway, so that's the story. That's how he got the name, Say Hey Kid. See, that's why Brian is here. He's the guru. I only think I know, but he knows. So thanks a lot, Brian, for that. And thank all of you. We don't have much time left in the show. We have a few more minutes, but before we go, I also want to give you my picks on movies that you can check out this weekend on Turner Classic Movies. I love those classic movies, and I just want to give you my picks as I do each week. And of course, starting Saturday, tomorrow, you have that movie with Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. It's called Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which is a 1966 movie, a great classic. And that's Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. It's all Eastern time. That's Eastern time on Turner Classic Movies. You can also check out On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando. That's a classic from 1954 on Turner Classic Movies. That's Saturday, and I believe that comes on after Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and that's Saturday at 3:30 p.m. All of this is Eastern time, so check your local time and listening. Oh, here's one for you. Lady Sings the Blues, the one with Diana Ross back in 1972. That's coming on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Lady Sing the Blues, Diana Ross and Billy D. Williams. And here's a classic that I think you're going to like. I've seen it a couple of times before. It's called Strangers on a Train. And that movie is with Robert Walker. And this was done back in 1951. That's on Turner Classic Movies. That's on Sunday at 6:15 a.m. If you're up that early, you can check it out. If not, be cognizant of the time, and you could probably set your VDR to it. I'm sorry, I said that last night. It's a DVR. You set your DVR to it. The time is 6:15 on Sunday at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And those are my picks on Turner Classic Movies. So there you go. We have all of that. I don't know if I missed out anything. I missed out on talking about a lot of things. There's a lot of things else that I want to talk about, but we only have an hour in the show, and we try to do our best. Okay, that's going to do it for me, though. But hey, don't forget to check out my podcast. I have a podcast, and I think you'll like it. It's called The Blue Cafe. And if you go up into the subject area, if you're watching on Facebook, it's right there at the very bottom, Blue Cafe, and the link is directly there. If you're watching us on YouTube, go onto the chat section where we have the chat section up there at the very top. That information is there too. It's the Blue Cafe, and there you have the link. You can go directly to it. You can do it over the weekend. You can do it right now. After this show is over, it will be there for you. And of course, I have Bobby Rydell, and let's see, Jimmy Clampton and Bobby Wilson. All of those three are still there. They're right there. So check it out. Don't forget to check up our show, our radio portion on Facebook Live and Facebook Live Radio every Thursday night between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern. That's called Talk Back Live. I will be there. Brian will be there with developments in the world of sports on Sports Update. He'll have that for you too, and all of that. Other than that, I will be back here next week at the same time at exactly 10 a.m. Eastern from 10 to 11 with more of the coffee hour. You, me, and all of us together will converge and have great conversation together and share thoughts and everything. Mary, you're going to be here in New York until the end of June, right? So we're going to have to work on that. I'm going to have to see you in between all of that. Anyway, you guys have a great day, a great weekend, and, do everything in a safe manner and keep those masks on and make sure that everything is fine, okay? You guys have a great weekend and a great day. And until then, ciao. Take care. Bye-bye.